Social well-being. Now, if you are members of the UNA series platform, you know that this is one of the three pillars of what I think health should be looked at as: physical, mental, and social well-being. Now, what is social well-being? It's so vast that I'm just going to want to touch it a little bit, and I want then to dive in with you in different arrays of it. It's vast, but let's start there. We know that sapiens' strength and actually even existence is because of his capacity to learn from each other. We remember that the Neanderthals, for example, were potentially cleverer, stronger, bigger, much more agile, but they were not very good at teaching or at learning. Sapiens, on the other hand, were smaller, had different features, not very strong, but what did they do? They changed their face to express their emotions. Do you know that we're the only mammals left with little white around our eyes, so that when I move my eyes, you can see where my eye is? All the other primates do not have that, so when they move their eyes, you don't know where they are. We blush. Why do we blush? Why would nature give us that trait? It's really, the only thing is that if I'm happy, if I'm sexually aroused, or if I'm surprised, or if I'm touched, I will change color a bit, and you can see that. Last thing that is amazing, eyebrows. The Neanderthals, you know, you've seen those skulls are really big, and they have what we call a bow ridge. We have a lot less of it, and we have those eyebrows that move all the time. Try and be surprised, or happy, or laughing, or sad, or angry without moving your eyebrows. You can't. So we've developed all these traits to exchange from the outside how we feel inside, so that when people teach us something or interacts with us, they can feel we are basically the worst poker player on the planet. We are giving away all our emotions. Now, this social interaction is the basis of who we are as sapiens. So it's the basis of our society, it's the basis of how we connected together, it's the basis of how we created this common narrative of certain imaginative reality. I know we've discussed all these things. Now, what does it mean to be socially well? That is, for me, probably one of the key of this whole talks. I ask my patients quite often a very difficult question that I'm not expecting answers of, because I don't even have answers for it, and it's this one. What is a successful life? What is a successful life? Now, you have some politically correct answers. It's to have a great family, and for them to be happy, and for me to be looking after them, and for me to be caring for them, and have social friends, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. First of all, what's happiness? Question for the next video. But secondly, more importantly, a successful life, first, is a question that is extensive, because life is pretty long. So it's not what is success, because you could arguably say, well, it's to be recognized in my peers, in my profession as being of a certain level, or have a certain level of income, or I've accumulated so many goods. Obviously, that's what the marketeered society of capitalism is giving you. Buy this and you'll be happier. It's very insidious and clever. It doesn't say, buy this and you'll be happy, because that they know is a lie, but say, buy this and you'll be happier. Happier. So I'm going to try, because the more I try, I'm going to reach maybe this little level of a bit more happy, bigger house, 2 cars, kids in the right school, going there on holidays, etc. And I'm selling this to you constantly. You want to be part of that kind of society that I'm selling. You know all this. But social well-being is a lot more complex than this, because what is being social and what does it mean? Does it mean being able to share feelings? Is it to be honest with one another? Is it to learn and teach from one another? Is it to empower you, my friend? Is it to make you feel better? Or is it to make me feel better? Where is it? And what is it meant to be? So obviously, when you ask people about how would you help someone to feel better, there is an underlying notion of being good, right? And this is our social cultural background, right? 2,000 years of Judeo-Christianism in the Westernized society. Obviously, there are other other dogmatic religions around, a few animists, sadly, because they're the more inclusive, but it seems that we should know what good and bad is, and my moral compass should be kind of triggered right in the middle, and I should always know. So if I do more good, I should create more good, and I should receive more good. And obviously, if I'm on the bad side, same thing here. Well, it's not as easy, and it doesn't seem that life has this capacity of counting and making sure that all the good people get good things and the bad people get bad things. And that comes to this one thing about the social interaction, is to understand that ideas and emotions start from here and we project them out. We keep thinking that it's the outside world that impacts us and makes us feel a different way, happier, sadder, angry. No, it's all in us. And I want to share with you a little story that I will call The Two Wolves. You probably have, it's an old story from China. And it's a grandfather and his grandson, and he's sitting on a bench, and the grandfather says to his grandson, you know, in you, there are two little wolves. One is aggressive, mean, selfish. And one is very nice, loving, sharing, and caring. And there will always be bickering a little bit. The little boy asks his grandfather, so which one will win? And the grandfather answers, the one you feed. And this for me is a very simple analogy to understand that actually we have all this array of emotions, and we need to. We come back here on mental health. Mental health is having the capacity to fluctuate between all those different feelings. I want you to have the panel of feelings. I want you to be able to feel all of those, but navigate through them, never get stuck. But it is true that if from within you feed the little wolf that is caring and sharing and compassionate, there is a chance that he'll be the one who wins. I think we can even make a bit of a silly analogy with Star Wars here. I don't know if you're a fan or not. I'm not particularly a fan, but I love the concept of having two sides of the Force. And constantly in the movies anyway, they say, try the dark side. The obscure side. There's more strength there. It's debatable, who knows? But the question here is that there is two sides to the Force. My question here is that my social interaction, do I thrive from being on the dark side? Do I thrive if it was so to be more powerful, here to be more powerful, to achieve what exactly? And I think this is the real question of the reflection of contentment. If I know that I'm happy inside, I don't need to push someone down to make a comparison and feel happier, because that's what most behaviors are intended to. Come back to marketing. I'm going to go into a shop, very fancy shop, and buy a very expensive bag. I went to the shop. I paid for it. I know that this bag comes from this shop. Yet on this bag I have an enormous logo. Is this to remind me that this bag comes from this shop? No, it's not. I know. It's for other people to watch me walking around with my bag with my logo on it. I don't walk around in my house with my bag. I use it outside. What does that say? It's a statement, right? I can do this, but how happy does it make me? I want people to see me with it. But what am I imagining in my mind that this is creating? It's creating that they, in a way, have an envy. They have a desire of this bag, and their envy makes me happy. That's a really perverse way of thinking. But also it's totally, not idiotic, but quite perverse selfishly, because you are projecting that idea in their mind. You have no idea what they think. For all you know, they could say, oh, this bag is awful. I can't believe she's paid that much money for that. But you don't know this, what you think, because you want to make it fit your narrative. She must be, she thinks this is really cool. Now, I've taken a woman example, but it just works exactly the same for the man. Any fancy car, anything that you think, you realize people are happier when they're being watched in it or with it. Think about this. Where do I feel happiness from? Where do I see myself from? Do I see myself from me, within, and towards others, to project hopefully the good wolf that I've just fed, happiness, love, compassion, encouragement, empowerment? Or do I see myself from my prefrontal cortex in every other person's eyes. And I'm making those narratives, and I want them to feel a bit envious of me. That's a big question. And that's, I think, in our social interaction, something to take on board, because we are being twisted a little bit through marketing. We are being twisted thinking that we need more and that will make us happy. We are being twisted that there is a comparison that we are constantly doing and that it's difficult for us to be detached from. And there's a comparison because we project in our mind what other people think, but we have no idea. And the funny thing about it, they do just the same thing. So think about social interaction from yours towards outside rather than the contrary.